What is up, folks? My name is Justin Khanna. This is a little series that I created called Reps, and it's designed to be a resource for you to improve your skills, challenge each other, and gain more confidence with your skills. I was beyond stoked to see such a killer response on Reps number 1. If you haven't seen that yet, link is up here for your convenience. But you're obviously here because, as promised, this is Reps 2. In typical Reps fashion, I'm breaking these up by product, and this video is centered around radishes and shallots. I've certainly done my fair share of prep with both of these two, and I know the supply chains of the world are feeling a little bit of pressure at this time of recording, so I've done some slight alterations so that if you aren't able to quite get shallots right now, onions have your back. If you don't happen to have these little guys, turnips will work. Chances are your grocery store might be out of TP, but other varieties of radish like black or watermelon radish might still be up for grabs because people are stocked up on basics right now, and I don't think that people are thinking of the more eccentric types of produce. So if it really comes down to it, the tops of carrots are gonna be what I would advise if you really can't get any of these family, just so you can get used to the principles that we're gonna work on today, but you can adjust as you need to depending on where you are. Also, in typical Reps fashion, I'm confident that these skills, if practiced, will ripple out into other areas of your prep list. I really loved seeing you folks posting about doing these exercises last time. Shout out to the winners from sharing their growth. More on another contest towards the end of the video because we've got one more chrome knife roll that I want to hook you up with. So let's quickly talk gear here before we jump in. Just like last time and just your prep and mentality in general, this does depend on your personal preference. It's going to be a slight switch up from Reps number 1 here. The skills that I'm going to talk about today will do best with a petty knife of your choice, a paring knife, I'm going with a tournay knife, and then of course a mandolin. Now most of you probably have these, but if you want to know what gear I use and recommend, that is affiliate linked up down below. I earn a small commission from that. If that is not of interest to you, but you still want to find a way to support this free to consume content that I'm creating, Patreon is an option, or just leaving a like on this video. Believe it or not, that does help on YouTube quite a bit. If you aren't super confident on the condition of your already purchased gear, I have tons of videos on sharpening, which I recommend you watch first. Shout out to everyone who chilled out and watched the sharpen and chill video. I definitely recommend playing that if one of your blades needs a little bit of love. For this video, definitely watch all the way through, understand what I'm going to have you do, and then go back and watch it again to follow along using the time codes that I've left in the description depending on the exercise. To do this, as the video recommends, you will need 3 shallots and 6 radishes. To me, that's a pretty easy way to remember the numbers. It's more accurate to how radishes come, at least in my grocery store as well. I want to make sure this routine is as practical as possible. All right, let's jump into the routine. We're going to start with your desired allium family member first. Prep on this one is going to be removing the root, cutting them in half, and removing the skins. One of the biggest pointers I learned early on in my career in doing this process was to make sure that judgment call on whether or not that first onion layer has to go. Once you get good at this, you save so much time in having to go back and touching the shallots again. That being said though, these first layers still have tons of flavor and work really great for stocks, so don't get rid of these if you have a practical use for them. From here, we are going to take 3 of those shallot halves, lay them down on our boards, and do the root removal with the V cut with the tip of our knife. Then we'll cut those into slivers. This is great practice for angled knife work, using that guide finger in tricky positions. This is a knife cut that transfers into other prep tasks like mushroom slicing, and it's a great way to make quick work of onions for things like caramelized onions. Next up, for the 3 remaining halves we've got left, we're going to do the dreaded shallot brunoise. This means keeping the roots intact, running your knife down as close as you can to the wall of that last layer to keep everything together, doing your 3 to 4 slices horizontally, and then pulling a Missy Elliott to dice these super small. If your prep list typically requires these to be perfect tiny cubes, spend some extra time here. You can even take your slivers and cut them into these tiny cubes to match the thickness there to test a consistent brunoise on those. Once you've got some tiny cubes here, the bonus activity for the shallots is to haché these. I know we are destroying your perfect brunoise, but don't be precious about your prep. Possibly switching to a larger chef knife and testing that rocking motion. This does mean potentially making yourself cry over the cutting board because you're obliterating the cells of these shallots, but this haché motion transfers into cutting herbs more finely, tomato jam, nuts, so many other things. And when you've got hache-aged shallots, it's such an incredible seasoning base. And if you're gonna cook with the hache-aged shallots, the time you spend on the board can often get saved in the pan. If you've been following the channel for a while now, you already know, but if you're new, we practice TSD here, total station domination. Use trays, plastic deli containers, get a compost bin for yourself, keep your tools knolled, and always organized. We always go from one task to the next on our boards. No slivers on the board when we're doing the hache, no skins from the shallots kicking around when you're trying to do your brunoise. That being said, if you're watching this on your first time through right now, take notes on what gear you're gonna need. I personally like having a bench scraper handy when I'm doing hache, but you know how you work best. All right, time for me on the shallots was... All right, if you're gonna roll right into radish, use this time to clean up. This is also a good time to comment down below with your time so far, because if you wanna track your progress, I would just love to see like these dual comments down below where you come back in a month with an improved time to your first comment. Okay, 6 radishes are next, and the prep list is as follows. 3 of them are gonna be shaved. Thickness is your preference. We're gonna make some stacks and then go down and make those into batons. These are great for garnish and really get you used to handling smaller produce and making stacks like this. And with the other 3, we're gonna go in half through the stem, line them up on our board. We're gonna take those halves into thirds so that we get 6 pieces per radish, and then we're gonna turn all 18 pieces of those radish. Some of you right now are like, 18 turned radishes? That's so many. And some of you are like, yeah, bro, that's like 1/10 of my prep list. But it's about practice, so let's go. Right off the bat here, I'm pushing more mandolin work because I really do think it's a tool that I enjoy using for consistency and usefulness. Once you learn how to use it safely, it just makes me so much faster on my prep. If you've got stuff on your list right now where you're cutting a lot of these without a mandolin, feel free to omit the mandolin and get your speed up in that category. But doing small items like radishes for me forces me to slow down and improve my mind-muscle connection with my mandolin. It feels so weird to say that, but those that have the spidey sense with a mandolin and their fingers, you know what I mean. So the shaves are done. These get made into stacks. I'm going for speed on my batons here if you want to practice squaring these off. So every single piece has just red caps on either end. Definitely feel free. Of course, you can rotate these and continue on with dicing if you want to get practice on baton work. My next step is going to be a little counterintuitive. I'm going to start to line these up on the left side of my board. You'll see why in a bit, but for now, it's about getting them to lay flat. From here, I will go assembly line style and practice that angled cutting again. This took me almost 10 years to learn, but instead of going in one direction and then trying to awkwardly switch sides, you keep the angle the same and you flip the radish after you've made your first cut. You see how that's that much more effective if you've got to do 300 of these? It also makes it easier to hit that perfect center, which we're going to clean up anyways in the next step, 3-point turning of these radishes. So I prefer to start at the top of the radish. I'm switching to a tournée knife here. You can use your favorite thin paring knife. We're going to attempt to do a much more delicate version of the beveling we did with potatoes in reps 1. Basically, a millimeter is all you want to remove from these. Boom, time for me on that is... How did you do? Let me know in the comments. The bonus / advanced technique here is to clean the stem area of the radish. I know a lot of menus that have these crudité style presentations take a lot of pride in serving the radish with the leaves on. If you've done prep like that before, keeping those tiny tender leaves intact is a skill in and of itself, so practice there can go a long way. Go ahead and do it for all 6 radishes just to make sure you get your reps in on that. I almost forgot, just like last time, I am going to create a graphic for this and put it up on justinkhanna.com for free. Check the link in the description if you want to check that out. Also, shout out to you if you wore an apron during this because you miss wearing an apron during work. Well, there you have it. You've yet again prepped 4 components out of 2 kinds of produce, 1 extra if you save your shallot roots and outer layers. Container these, label them, wash your hands, break down your station, and I will meet you back here because I want to talk contest again. All right, same deal as last round. I want to see you in action. If you post about this during your quarantine time, or if your place has shifted to doing more kind of scalable food right now for pickup or delivery, and you miss getting some intricate knife cuts in for the tasting menu, kindly hashtag JKReps and then the number 2 and tag me so I can find you wherever you decide to post about this. I will randomize the submissions on these, and the winner gets one of the chrome knife rolls for just $5 plus shipping to wherever you are in the world to make this a truly international contest. As per usual, I really hope this brings some value to you folks. I'm excited for you to get your reps in even more, continuing to answer the question, Justin, How do I get faster? Get some color on that like button, subscribe if you aren't already because I post new videos every single week on this channel. My name is, of course, Justin Khanna. Thank you so much for your attention, as always, and I hope you have a good one. Stay safe.